and senpai without her glasses. And we're going to do a panel for you that is called Bomb Inducing Video Games. So, if anybody knows what Senpais and Senpai without her glasses is from, look at a Kit Kat. No, you don't? Okay. How many of you play visual novels?
Oh.
Awesome. So do you guys know what Type Moon is? Oh man, this is. So anyway, there's a visual novel called Tsukihime. It's done by it's in the Type Moon universe, and it's actually the game that got Nasu, that does it, into the actual market, because up until Tsukihime was the game that made them stop being a doujin company and be a legitimate company. So there's a scene where it's an eroge. So there's a scene where you're about to have sex with a girl, and she fakes being your senior in the high school, and she wears glasses so that you'll relate to her, but she doesn't need them. And so she asks you if you want her to if you want her to wear the glasses or not for the scene. And your choices are no, I like the natural look, or yes, senpai isn't senpai without her glasses, which is where we declined from.
I had no part in the decision.
I had all the parts of the decision. So, are we ready?
I guess so.
All right, and
I guess I'll start off. Okay.
We're going to talk about Bomb Inducing Video Games first.
I guess, okay. We probably should talk about actually like what our content is also.
Yeah.
oh, you should do the GIF because the GIF's funny.
Right!
The GIF is
Right.
funny.
Man, it's all confused because, sorry about
We
this.
had some problems.
Yeah, it's just confusion at work. So anyway.
Rainbow dot GIF.
So you know, this is Bomb Inducing Video Games.
Yeah, I know, right?
Who knows what that game is?
We're gonna be giving out kick cards.
Oh man, you're like, come on, guys.
Anyway, so basically, oh god, oh god,
Oh, God.
Oh, look at that glorious GIF.
No. But anyway, we're gonna be talking about really, really bad video games, but they're not necessarily gonna be ones that you like will notice right away. Like you could have actually been sitting down and playing this game and been like, "This is a really good game." And you're gonna literally find out like 10, 20 minutes later, this is a really shitty game. Why did I sit through this?
Alright.
But anyway, we're gonna take it off. The first game I want to talk about is Orphan.
Can we get lights, I guess? I can't. Can you guys see that?
I don't think they can.
I can.
They just have to blur.
It's better from back
over
here. It's better from back here, but
No.
No.
No. No.
No.
Yes.
No.
No.
it's a dimmer thing.
Is this dimmer?
There we go.
There
Marginally better.
This is the row you get the glare from.
we go. Yeah, I was gonna get that dimmer right there.
There we
A little
go.
better. Yeah, we'll leave that there for now.
At least it's visible. This is Orphan. Don't play Orphan.
Yeah, so it is Orphan. Mostly one of the things to take notice is kind of bad dubbing. The first thing you're gonna really notice about this game. This was one of the. This is actually one of the first PS2 RPGs to come out when the PS2 first came out. There was about like 5 or 10, maybe. Basically at launch. There was this and Dark Cloud was like the big ones. The thing about it though was everyone was super excited about this game. Everything about the box art, like everything on the back, it sounded like a really good game, and it just didn't come together. As you'll notice with the battle system, the game actually has you get spells, but you don't get them by leveling up. The game just will give them to you, and they're always going to be better than the last spell you learned. And the other thing about this game is to power them up, you just hold the button longer to cast it, and then release it whenever you think it's ready. And there's no really evidence of when the spell's really gotten like to a really strong point, other than like maybe it got a little bit bigger in your hand. And since there's no leveling, the game actually has a very awkward difficulty scale where you can blaze through the game right away without ever trying anything. But some enemies just you won't be able to beat just because you didn't use the right spell. The other thing to take notice of is the endings. There's 4 endings to the game, and you actually have to beat the game 4 times to get the real ending. And because this is time loop, you actually feel like the game has cheated you every time you beat the game. And it's just thrown together with just kind of a bad plot and a really bad battle system. It just doesn't come together really well. And that's what this game's personally been about.
So yeah, don't play that game. It's a bad plan and a losing strategy.
Was there no heads-up display or of any kind? No display of what's going on when you're in the battle mode?
No.
Besides just a little...
No. There's no HUD, there's no anything. Your HP is displayed by 4 little dots.
Yeah, so
You may have seen them on the bottom.
Yeah, and when they start blinking, it means you're basically gone, and you should probably worry about it. Yeah.
So, the sheer level of aliasing in that entire game, was that the video or was that literally what
No, that's the game. That's the game.
I will vomit.
Yeah. No, it was one of the first PS2 games, and when you actually look at the box art has some deceiving stuff because it shows him running through the stage where his guillotine's like sliding across.
Okay.
And it looks really cool to have this motion blur, and you're like, wow, next generation of gaming, I'm all ready for you. And then when you get to that scene, you're like, this looks like shit. Why is it like in the back of my box? And
They promised PS2, they gave me 3DO.
Seriously.
yeah, that's terrible.
And that's where they start. And that's where the people making the game started lying to you on the box.
Yeah.
So anyway, the next thing we're going to be talking about is Castlevania Harmony of Despair. Yeah, I can never remember if it's Despair, isn't it? I actually played the shit out of this game, as did Rich, and it was actually not bad, except for a couple things that bring the whole thing down to just horribly disappointing. It's a really cool idea that I'm glad somebody thought of, and I never thought of it that it would be fun. You're basically playing Castlevania, only on one section of a Castlevania map, and with a bunch of people who all can do different things. They're all different characters from each Castlevania game, and it's really cool. But the problem is, once you get to the end, it is soul crushing. The specific thing that kills the game is how low the rates are to get anything useful. And that's why Rich and I have called it Grindvania ever since. This video kind of shows it off. This compilation of about 5 clips, 6, shows the characters wearing all of the best luck gear you can get to try to maximize your drops. And they're killing this boss, and then they're getting his chest. And each clip shows one of their 6 getting something good. And apparently this clip summarized a couple hundred runs, and they get 6 pieces of good gear out of it between 6 people. And that's really what brought the game down. It would otherwise have been a fantastic game, and but as is, it's just horribly disappointing. So, yeah.
It also had a lot of, kind of just to add on to it, it was really balanced. So near the end, every character just played Soma. And this is a really good example of why every person played Soma. It was because he just had the best weapons and best powers for everyone else. So like, he gets a weapon called the Ball Away, which you can see here. It's basically a blend your 4 arms, and as fast as you mash it, it does damage based on that. And yeah, there's no reason to use any other character if you ever get that item. Yeah. So the game just kind of like fell off from ever being creative and different.
Yeah, because Soma also got a power for every weapon. Every enemy in the game has a soul because it's consistent with Soma's character from the Castlevania Aria of Sorrow games that he's from. So he has like 50 more powers at least than the next guy in line. And just because he has so many, there were bound to be a couple broken ones slipped in there. And there were. He can skip pretty much most of every stage, and just do a bunch of dumb stuff, and nobody likes Soma. So yeah, that's Castlevania, and you can see him just doing stuff on the stage. Alright, Justin, you're up.
Alright, so how many of you played a game called Golden Sun? Good, so people can understand. Golden Sun was made by a studio called Camelot. And this game right here, called Beyond and Beyond, is the Camelot's first try at a traditional RPG. Before this, they were really known for the Shining series, for those who have played that. And so this is their first take. It was a PS1 game as a traditional RPG. So when you watch it, and you actually watch battle, you'll see it looks a lot like Golden Sun. But
Can you see the character in the inventory?
Cool. Yeah. So you're thinking, for those who play Golden Sun, you're like, wow, I'm expecting this to play Golden Sun. Except one of the main differences is that it doesn't have Jin. And in the combat here, you'll see coming up, things just plopped on there. And I felt that when I played it, the combat just went really slow. So you make an attack and it takes a whole 20 minutes for everybody to go around and make things. Now, the second thing you'll notice is you have Yeah, because I can't. You have your VP and your LP. So VP stands for vitality points. LP stands for life points. When you're all out of vitality points, it starts taking your life points. That's really it. There's really, and from my point of view, there was no real reason for the split. There are some mechanical things that go along with it, but it could have just been handled by making like your life points half your vitality points. So, there's that. Second of all, there's a character that you're going to come across called Samson. Was he in those clips?
Yeah.
Samson is the obvious big character that you get very early on. That is the kind of the helper character. So he has a lot of good stats. He beats a lot of crap. But they're like, you know what? We don't want to take him away from you. We're gonna let you keep him, but we're gonna curse him so that like 70% of his attacks he just doesn't do anything. And so you are forced to play with Samson for this long part of the game, and where he really can't just do anything. And so he's just a slot in your party that's getting taken up that you could be using for anything. And later on in the game, when they finally remove the curse, he's not that good. So that pretty much in a nutshell is Beyond and Beyond.
It's bad Golden Sun.
It is bad Golden Sun.
Alright, so I'm now going to talk about Dark Cloud, which
Little baby.
this one actually is kind of an interesting one to talk about, just because a lot of people have different views about Dark Cloud. A lot of people think it's a really great game, and I will.
That one guy thinks it's a good game.
Sorry,
I think it's
my arch
just
enemy. So Dark Cloud 2 is a really good game. I'm just gonna start out by saying that.
How do you guys have played a roguelike game?
Yeah.
If you know the game
Roguelikes like Azuna, the Pokemon Explorer dungeon type games.
Okay.
So okay.
Is there like the
Yeah, I'm trying to Chocobo Dungeon.
Chocobo Dungeon, Rogue.
Rogue. Clan Dun, which is PSP, Mainichi. Anyway, the point is, Dark Cloud has some mixes of a roguelike, but it isn't actually a roguelike. And because of that, it kind of destroys the game. So I'm actually going to fast forward. Part of the game is actually rebuilding towns, which is a really cool mechanic, until it got really tedious, and that was like how you had to actually like finish a lot of parts of the game. But basically, we're gonna go to when he's exploring the dungeon, and I'm gonna pause right here so you can take notice of some things. Right up here, where my mouse is, that's your thirst meter. So you have to worry about drinking water while in this dungeon. Oh well, my mouse went totally offline. Anyway, if you don't have that filled and it's empty, you will start depleting your health very, very rapidly. And the game is very cool about that. The other thing to take notice is this is his health, this is his weapon. And his weapon actually has a limited amount of uses you can use. And if you use too many, your weapon will break, and it's permanently gone forever. You're not going to get it back. And no matter how much time you put into it, that's gone. And one of the problems with the game is, early on, your weapon just gets broken too easily, including when you attack thin air. If you're just attacking like plain thin air, it's just bam, you just lost like 1 to 2 points. For no reason. You're just like, well, what do you ever want to see how the weapon swings? Oh, well, you just wasted like 3 endurance points. Have fun. So those 2 things right at the start just are kicking you in the face. To add to this, there's 6 playable characters, if I remember right. Most of them are relatively useless. But the problem is, a lot of the floors, when you get to later dungeons, require you to use these certain characters. But to try and keep all 6 characters balanced so that they can all like go through the same dungeon is very difficult because you have to keep all of them, you have to give your thirst items to all of your characters, and you have to give endurance power-ups and all stuff to their weapons, and you're just not going to have a balanced party by the time you get to the end, and you're just going to get wrecked by bosses. But like all this kind of combined to do a really bad game because they try to make it roguelike, but it shouldn't have been, and it just fell apart. But Dark Cloud 2 is a really good game. So Dark Cloud 2 actually fixed all these problems, and it was fun, and you should just play that.
Which is a point to make when people say that they think Dark Cloud 1 is good.
Yeah.
It's like they took out all these things and it was better.
Yeah, so if anyone ever tells you Dark Cloud 1 is good, tell them to play Dark Cloud 2, and then they'll just Jizz in their pants and be super excited. Oh my god. Golden Sun is next.
So anyway, I told you that Camelot got their start. Camelot's first RPG was really crappy Golden Sun, and their last RPG so far is really crappy Golden Sun. Golden Sun Dark Dawn, it came out very recently. It was a very highly hyped sequel to the Golden Sun games on the Game Boy Advance, which were excellent. And it completely dropped the ball. It was a terrible game. Its first big problem was that it was almost the exact same. It was like, after 8 years and a change of hardware, they should have changed it up, and they didn't. Each of the first 4 characters you get are almost exactly the same as the first 4 characters in all the other ones, except that now the Wind user has the heals because you can't have a girl in your party who doesn't heal. Heaven forbid. Most of the Jinn are very similar, and the characters are also retarded, which is something that which was one of the only things that changed between the two, is that the writing quality just took a huge dive. In Golden Sun 1, part of what made it so successful, I think, was that the writing was actually pretty good for a JRPG. It was an interesting scenario that was fairly well written, and had a really big plot twist between the first and second games, where you realize that your characters from the first game were actually villains, in a manner of speaking. And in this, everyone's just an idiot, and oh god, I can't even wait more. So that's the first big problems, is that everyone's retarded, and the game is far too similar to the first Golden Suns, when it really should not have been. The last big problem with it is that there is a lot of stuff that's permanently missable, including, and most criminally, the Jinns, which are very crucial to your character's growths. Getting the Jinn, missing those, I think, was the biggest point against the game, and is actually, when I realized that I had missed some, is when I stopped playing the game. I was actually so frustrated with the game that they did that, and I was so disappointed that they made this game that I actually stabbed my cartridge. There is a hole in it. I should have brought it to show you guys.
If you guys come to Modern Disney Video Games in Almacon, we will give it out to one of you.
throw it in the crowd. We'll pretend we're big rock stars and that the game is the pick.
Fetch quest.
It'd be great.
Fetch quest. Fetch quest.
Oh yeah, and the whole game's a fetch quest. Like, the very beginning of the game, you have this quest. You need to go and get this feather from this bird so that you can fix the glider. And about a third of the way through and the entire game is just one big detour to do this. About a third of the way through the game, you even get the feather, but they're like, nah, we can't turn it in because there's other stuff we should be doing, and it's really dumb. Also, they introduced, and also finally, they left it open for a sequel, and I'm really mad.
Left it open for a sequel?
They
better make a sequel.
And it's basically a guaranteed sequel. It's like what Final Fantasy 13 2 is going to do to you if you guys ever finish that.
Oh, spoilers.
Spoilers.
So anyway,
I don't care.
Okay.
that's my tracks.
Next is a game that I've become quite passionate about in my hatred over the past years, and I wasn't at first. So how many of you have played a game called Cross Edge? Wow. Man, you guys are dead today. Cross Edge is a PS3 JRPG that was a crossover game between Nipponichi, Ghost, Rune Factory, and just Darkstalkers, I think, right?
Namco?
It's still Capcom.
Yeah, Capcom. Yeah, Morgan and Felicia are in.
Oh.
And Dimitri, and Jetta, and Lilith. Yeah. So, Cross Edge. As you will notice, sports one of the single most complicated battle systems I have ever come across. So, if you played Valkyrie Profile, you notice how you have each person is assigned to a button. So imagine each character has a different move assigned to each button. And depending on what order you do all these attacks in, you get different combos, different attacks, hit different enemies. Your placement on this 3x4 grid determines who you hit and stuff. And it makes, if you watch, this is just a basic combat, and it's taking a long time. And so when you have this encounter rate that's pretty high, I think, you have to do these really long combats for no reason. And yeah, you can skip some of the animations, but it's just really tedious because for each combat, you're doing the same button combination. Because eventually, you have a setup where with the setup that you'll use for everything. And each enemy has 4 different health bars that do different things. So you have the actual health bar. But if you kill them with an attack and you still have your combo going, if you do enough damage to overkill them, you increase your drop rates. But you have the burst and the break, and the down. I don't remember what down does. I don't think I ever got it down.
It's done. You're stunned for like a turn.
Oh, I thought that was break.
I don't know.
Whatever. So if you get one of those, if you get the different ones down, they do different things. And it's just, overall, it was just too complicated. And the next thing is that you'll find a sequence, things that are permanently missable are problematic. And that is also in this game too. And Rich can attest to this. You have to, on the map, you have to search. Very similar to Wild Arms, if you guys have played that. But you have to walk around and then you search a radius around you. And this is how you find towns, this is how you find events and stuff. And at a certain point in the game, you need to have a certain search rating, or you can't get the good ending, or even the normal ending, or even the normal ending. So, and did you just man up and beat it?
I ended up beat it, but I missed a good ending.
Yeah, he missed a good ending because he missed something and he couldn't go back to go get it.
Like, to get a good ending in this, I just want to kind of clarify that on Justin. Like, there is a list of 30 things you have to do in the exact order and not miss once. And assuming you mess this up at all, you just locked out a good ending permanently forever. And it's such a strict list that almost no one can do it without like just staring at a guy the entire time.
And you have to spend hours scourging map, the whole each area for things and fighting things, and it's just a huge problem. So Cross Edge is a bad game. Although, to be fair, the next crossover game they made wasn't so bad, Trinity Universe. So
They've been getting better.
they've been getting better at it.
Yeah, like Neptunia is not bad.
At least they learned.
Oh yeah, so how many played the original Lunar for PS1 or Sega Saturn or possibly a remake on Game Boy Advance, remake on PSP? No? Okay.
He got it for my birthday, so I played it.
Yeah. Of course you play that. Alright, how many played Lunar 2? Outstanding, anyway.
Nobody's gonna get any candy. Oh my god.
I'm gonna throw candy out. I don't even care. So where'd you get that?
There's a Kit Kat there. Somebody can have it.
Eventually.
Anyway.
So now, next time when we ask if you play something, you raise your hand and lie, because we're not going to ask any questions about it.
Yeah. So, alright, so Lunar Dragon Song, it took anything that made Lunar good and basically throw it out the window and just bomb it on anyone who played that game's childhood viciously. The things to take note about this game is the battle system is divided into 2 ways you can play it. When you're on the world map, you can set yourself to either gain experience or gain items and money, but you can't gain both. You're not allowed to. So while you're on the world map, you have a setting that you can constantly change your DS by tapping this one part of the screen. And if it's blue, you'll gain experience. If it's red, you'll gain money and items. But you can never gain both from a combat. And because of this, it means grinding takes twice as long, because you're grinding for experience and money. And that's just terrible. The other thing to take note about is you cannot actually choose the targets of your opponent. If you watch them, when they press attack, he's just going to randomly attack whatever's there. They don't actually choose between enemies, it's all 100% random. And because of this, it makes combat really awkward, because there's a lot of times you'd be like, well, if I attack this guy, I'm going to have one less enemy to worry about, and then we can all focus on this one. And the game's not going to do that for you, and it's just going to be random flip of the die. See. The other thing to take notice of, from Beyond to Beyond, where Justin mentioned Samson, this game does the exact same thing right in the beginning, where the main character is going to get cursed within the first 5 hours. And that's when your party is only the main character and a healer. So you're left to go through the game with only a healer that can do damage, and your main character who will, on average, just trip and do nothing for that combat. So that is the hardest part of the game, is hour 6 to hour 15 until he gets uncursed or you get a new party member. And as you can see right now, they're getting experience. They're not getting any money and anything like that. This game's really bad.
Here we're gonna do something different here. And I'm going to tell you
The
about.
best part of the panel!
I'm going to tell you about one of the worst games ever made in video games. It is called in Japanese. Okay, I didn't have that open, but it is in English. It is called Stargazer. In Japanese, it's
Densetsu no
no. That's the nickname. It's Hoshio Miruhito.
That's
The
not
Japanese, however, have a nickname for it. They call it Densetsu no Kusoge, which translates to legendary shit game. And
That's how
oh
bad
my
it is.
god, it's terrible.
legendarily terrible.
So, one thing to note first off is that it is not a battery save I don't know if it had been invented or not, but it is a password save, and it is a really dumb password save.
For Nintendo batteries.
Yeah. So now, and I don't even know how to get it out, so I have to reset every single time. It's a blast. Machine, reset, soft reset, Shift R. So anyway, so here's the first thing to know. Look, first off, the tile sets. My god, the tile sets. Also, it looks a little faster on the big screen because of stretching, but it is painfully slow to get anywhere. And finally, you started here. Here's the first town. It's a nondescript tree, but man, you're in the town now. Congratulations.
I hope you went left. Because
Yep.
if you didn't,
Because if you didn't, you're screwed. So, and now you can see painfully going everywhere, and this is such a problem that for some reason, somebody decided to make a fan patch that puts it in English, and it fixes some of these problems. I have no idea why they would do that, because it's so bad. Like, why would anyone bother? But as you can see, the walking speed's increased, and I'm going to be sticking with this for the remainder because it's way simpler. So, and it still uses the basic Dragon Quest of the Dragon Quest command menu, and it sucks, and everyone hates it. And this guy will sell you stuff. No, there is no inventory. If you buy something, it replaces what you had on, and you cannot get that back. This is important because the first weapon you can buy is worse than being unarmed. Yep. So, speak, and then you can see that the ray gun is worse than being unarmed. Don't buy it. Don't play this game. But if you do decide to punish yourself, don't buy that weapon. So now we're gonna venture out into the wild because that's also a blast, and you can see all the insta-gib spawns around here, and I can show you the whole
wow, we haven't
mess.
actually gotten these spawns, man.
Never happened.
Oh my god, what the hell? Okay, so
Put that 5.
you see this 5? That's the tens place of my HP. There was I think there must have been an error when they typeset the game, so you can't see the ones place of your HP number.
This is in the Japanese version too.
This isn't all versions. This isn't just an English patch glitch. So, first thing is that ESP is here instead of fight, besides the fact that the main character doesn't have ESP to start with, which is always interesting. So we're gonna fight, and we may or may not die. It doesn't ever end.
Also, take note, there is no run command.
Yeah, that's also important. You see these guys, they're
Beat the shit out of you.
see right there. Oh, whoops, I didn't focus one down, and I'm going to die. Oh yeah, you can do no damage. Yeah, I'm gonna die here, and it's gonna be great. Yup.
Imagine if you had the ray gun.
If you had the ray gun, you'd be doing worse. I love this game. So yeah, back to the beginning. And
This is gonna kick your ass.
everything kicks your ass in this game. I don't know how anyone. Oh god, the nickname is well deserved. So it is important that we get to the second town too, because there's some funny stuff going on there. Let me tell you. 1 damage, doing 11 damage. Yep, I'm gonna die here too. I love this game. I did it!
Yay! You got some gold.
I did get some gold. Gold is always helpful.
Spend it on right now.
Yeah, good thing I can't spend it on the ray gun. And damn it. Uh-oh.
Oh.
This could be problematic.
Do you have medicine?
No.
Oh, scary.
They must
Thank
have
God.
known
Did
you
we
were
just get a
doing
zero
demonstration.
Yeah, because it ran.
So that blob was the second town.
Yeah, this is the second town, and once again, bad tile sets, awful, everything. Talking to people probably won't help much. And this is my favorite part of the game here. a very shit game. Tell your friends. Now we can close this.
And never look at it again.
Hopefully never look at it again.
My turn.
Yep.
It's Paladin's Quest, I think, right?
It is Paladin's
Alright,
Quest.
so, how do you heard of a game called Paladin's Quest? Are you guys lying now? Now that I told you?
I really have.
Okay.
Sweet, drink candy bar!
Woo! Candy bars!
I'm sorry, I'm bad at throwing.
Obviously.
Oh.
I'm good at catching.
Anyway, so Paladin's Quest is a Super Nintendo RPG that came out a long time ago, and I forgot when. But, so, the first thing you'll notice in combat is that you don't have any MP. And on the back of the box, the thing that was advertised was a no MP magic system. And they thought it was a good thing. Unfortunately, in this game, you use your HP to cast magic. Awesome, nice pause. Anyway, so the second thing you notice is when you just chose the attack command, right? And so, see these options right here? Those are all your equipment slots. You can attack with any equipment slot you want. You can attack with your pants. He's doing. What does he attack with in this one? I forgot. He attacks with a bow.
That makes sense.
Whatever.
person's not
So
playing
you can attack with any of your slots, which didn't really make a lot of sense when you first started to play this game. And then, secondly, you'll notice, or thirdly, or I forgot where I am, you'll notice the dialogue is incredibly cheesy. If you get that far. And to top it all off, the storyline is balls-tastically insane. Basically, you gotta save your world. And you need this sword. But the one in yours, is it broken, I think?
The one in yours does things. It's broken.
It's
So you have to
broken.
go to-
So, you go to an alternate dimension where you beat up yourself in that dimension so you can take his sword so that you can save your own world because he was too much of a coward. And,
Seriously, it's a game where you can beat up monsters with your pants.
That's all you need, dude.
like, I was getting ready to, like, act that out. All in all, though, some people actually really like this game. I know a couple people who really do like this game. You did?
Yeah.
Man, you deserved that candy bar we threw you earlier. So this one, don't let that actually deter you from trying. It is, but yeah, that's what happens, right? It is insane. So, it's worth it. I got it for his birthday.
Yeah. I give you Lunar and I get Paladin.
Yeah, he gave me a good game and I gave him Paladin's Quest. So that, my friends, is. Well, okay, to be fair, all the uniform slot things, all the different things, you have different items that can like if an item like a belt or something has an effect, that's how you use it, is you attack with it. And that's the reason for that, but it's really funny because you have a uniform at the beginning, you're like, why am I using my
I'm gonna
uniform
feed you
to
my
attack?
uniform.
Anyway, that is Paladin's Quest.
Yeah.
Hilariously perfectly timed.
Alright. Yeah, I will Breath of Fire talk about it. Okay, so how many of you guys have heard of Breath of Fire?
Yeah.
Okay, good. Thank God. You like the candy bars that people will be magical or something.
He needs a candy bar, he hasn't got one.
Yeah!
There. We're done with candy bars.
So anyway,
Oh, you never got a candy bar?
Nope.
Okay, give him a candy bar. And then we'll be done with candy bars.
awesome.
Everyone's got the candy
All right.
bar. Congratulations.
So-
on the panel.
That was a whole point of
Welcome to the free candy panel.
Free candy bars, yeah! Anyway, distraction panel.
Distraction panel.
Distraction panel.
Distraction con.
Distraction panel. Shout out to Embro for stealing all the jokes. Anyway, we're terrible people. So Breath of Fire, I'm hoping someone else has played these Breath of Fire games other than me. Yes, maybe. Candy bars are delicious. Awesome. The thing to note about this one is it plays very different than all of them together. You have a meter in the game that's called your dragon meter. And every time you use your powers, every time you attack, every time you take damage, it goes up by a certain percentage. And the thing to take note of this is, if it ever reaches 100%, you get a game over, and you can do nothing to stop this. So the challenge of the game is getting through without making that go to 100%. Then the kick in the nuts part is, if you make it to the end of the game, and it's not at 100% by the time you kill the last boss, you don't get the good ending. So there is.
Yeah, that's right.
You're like, wait, what?
Good, you should drag over your phone.
Yeah. Yeah, the other thing is, when you get a game over, you don't actually get to restart your save. It is a New Game Plus system, but it's a very complicated New Game Plus system. Once you die or you choose to reset, you New Game Plus, but you don't really keep a lot of stuff you had, you just keep some of, I believe, some of the stats and skills you mastered and some other stuff. It's been so long since I played it, but it's not really a great system. You're basically supposed to New Game Plus until you learn and memorize when you should use your dragon powers and how to handle certain enemies. The other thing to take note, you have limited save spots, or save abilities. Like Resident Evil, you have a limited amount of save usages because they're giving you these coins, and at the very start of the game, you have one coin, one save coin, and once you use it, you're out of saves. Until you can find another save coin, which can be relatively difficult if you don't know where they are. And this is where the difficulty comes into the game. There's very little saving, and everything in the game is just a punch in the face because of the dragon meter. Like, I want to see if I can skip to a battle here where you can at least see where the dragon meter is. Yeah, if you see this right here, it keeps the percentage of it. And right now it's very low for him, it's only like 8% because it was like relatively early in the game. But if any of you attack or do anything, it just starts jumping, and if you ever use your dragon powers, which is necessary your first playthrough because everything just beats you up on your first playthrough, it just skyrockets and you just get a game over instantly and you have no idea what just happened. But yeah, that is the reason why there hasn't been a Breath of Fire game in forever after 5, because they killed it themselves. Yep. So sad.
I don't remember what's next.
What system was this?
What system was that?
That was PS2 actually.
Oh dear.
Oh, I'm so excited, man.
So this game's Time Killers, and it is. Oh my god.
Dude, you're gonna see this high-level Japanese
Words
style,
don't even begin.
high-level Japanese play for a fighting game. Let me tell you.
This is fighting games trying to cash in.
To appreciate this.
Oh yeah. So this is 90s fighting games trying to cash in on Mortal Kombat.
Watch this.
So
High-level Japanese style play.
So Time Killers was made in the 90s, and it shows in the character selection and in the gore. This was a game trying to cash in on the popularity of the Mortal Kombat games, which everyone knows got popular because there was blood. This game takes it to a logical extreme. You have your 4 attack buttons correspond to your 4 limbs, and if you hit the other guy in the right area, then you cut off their limbs, and then they can't use that attack button. And it's really dumb. As a consequence, it is one of the clunkiest, most terrible fighting games ever. Words don't even begin to describe it, and that's why we have this video. Because you can be the Black Knight. Oh god.
I want to see this come back.
Blood in the guy?
I don't even know.
That's Time Killers.
That's Time Killers. Oh, the plot. The plot is fantastic.
There's a plot?
There's a plot. Every fighting game has a plot. But you know, King of Fighters came along and made that happen. So, for whatever reason, something is pulling a bunch of people from across time together to fight. And they kill each other. Time Killers. And it's, oh god, I don't even know, I can't tell what the health bars are even doing. It's terrible. But yeah, that's Time Killers. Don't play Time Killers.
Okay. Turn it down, actually. So, how many of you heard of a game called Thousand Arms? It was a PS1 game. Nobody. You've heard of it? Good. Because Thousand Arms was something that the people who made it were like, you know what? Dating sims are pretty cool right now. So we're going to take an RPG, which is also pretty cool right now, we're just going to mash them together. This has worked. Not at this point, but it works in the form of Persona if you played those. So they tried to do the dating sim thing, threw it in here, and what you get is actually a really convoluted system. So let's say you want to level your character. You're all right. You're going to kill some monsters. You're like, yes. Also, the animation is terrible. You can Anyway, so you go out and you level your character. right? So you raise your character from level 1 to level 2. Man, that's cool. What did it do? Nothing. What it didn't do anything for your stats. But what it does do is allows you to raise your sword's level to level 2, right? Because your sword's level cannot go past your level. So you're like, well, how do I do that? So you find out that, oh, I can forge my sword and, make it better, temper to steel better. So you go to forge your sword and you're like, you can't do it by yourself. You gotta have one of your lady friends help you. But your lady friend isn't really comfortable with touching your sword right now. So you have to go on some dates with her first to get her comfortable with it. Then she'll forge your sword so you can actually get stat increases. That was gross.
Oh my god. See, there levels up and nothing happens.
Nothing, no increase in his health, no increase in anything.
You even get party members?
Yeah,
Crazy.
you get the girls.
Oh,
Who else
right.
you gonna hit on?
Gotta hit on something.
We actually have 10 minutes left. Do you
We have
want
10 minutes? Oh, at this point, we actually wouldn't mind taking questions on anything or everything or
Or bad games you've played.
Yeah.
We can talk about good games too.
Yeah, we can talk about good games earlier than when our next panel is.
What's up?
Might I suggest Deadly Premonition?
I haven't heard of that one.
Deadly Premonition is the 360 survival horror game that was made almost purposely bad. Plays like a Dreamcast game, but it still has a nice novelty to it.
Basically, it's just there's other things in the genre that do it better. Really, it's really what it comes down to.
It was the Lunar game that you couldn't choose who to attack, right?
Yeah.
Correct.
All right. Are there weaknesses and sort of resistances in that game? Does that kind of play into it?
No.
Okay, so that's not too bad, I guess.
Well, okay. Well, let's say you have two bosses that have 5,000 health, right?
Yeah.
And so you want to. The ideal strategy is because if two of them are attacking, you're taking more damage. You kill one as quickly as possible, so you're taking less damage. So this one's not easy. Which you cannot do because
You can't focus. but
you can't focus, which is I think integral to a
Yeah.
lot of RPG tactics.
Got it.
Any other questions? Yes.
I don't remember which game it was that you use your hit points to.
Paladin's right.
Paladin's Quest.
Paladin's Quest? Okay. Do they have healing magic in that game?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was
So you are giving up hit points to heal. Can you heal yourself?
Yeah.
Yeah.
You can give up your
You
hit
just
points
heal for
to
one.
yourself.
It means that you can't heal. Let's say the heal spell costs 15 health. It means you can't heal at 15 health.
Well, that's it.
But that's all it means.
It's a very silly system. You heard of it?
No.
Oh, okay.
Any other questions? We can do some. We have some more videos, but we just want to give you guys questions first before we.
Yeah.
Thoughts on the first computer army man? Sorry, army man.
Oh, do you mean like the Sarge's Army Men? Oh.
Oh my god, the computer versions were so bad.
I have not played the PC.
I didn't actually play the PC version.
I've played a lot of
The
consoles.
PC version completely ignored the mouse. You could not aim. It's like,
So
okay,
was it-
I have to face in this general direction and hope that my bullets actually, hit the enemy that's coming from that vague defined area. Because you couldn't even, you were stuck at the 8 points. You couldn't turn around 360 degrees, you were stuck at 8 different points, and then you could come back from anywhere.
Understandable.
Whoops.
I was just wondering, I don't know if you're into tactics or DS games, but have you ever heard of Hoshigami Ruined Blue Earth Remix?
Yes.
Yes, you played that one.
Yes.
What do you think?
It's alright. The thing about Hoshigami is, I don't think it's necessarily as bad as much as it is just brutally difficult. And you're
Complex.
just, huh?
It's complex.
Yeah, it's really complex and it's really brutal. And the thing you have to do is you have to realize, I need to buy a bunch of mercenaries because they're going to die for me.
Yep.
They are going to die for my bad mistakes, and I'll just buy some more later. And that's the strategy of the game.
Yeah.
Anything else we want to talk about?
Any questions?
Good games, bad games,
Based on your criteria, what would it take for a game to completely suck and still be considered good? Like, where's that tipping point for you?
Okay, so for me, that's actually a personal thing. But for me, I actually thought Golden Sun Dark Dawn was a good game. Much to Matt's dismay, I think yours as well, right?
Mine is, I let me put it kind of in the middle.
I thought it was passable. I enjoyed it. Matt obviously did not. Matt has weird opinions, by the way. But if that brings an example to it, usually for a game to be for a game to be poor, but not poor enough for this panel.
Tactics Advance.
Final Fantasy Tactics Advance is very poor, especially when you compare it to Tactics for the original Tactics. But it still had decent gameplay mechanics. It had a story that was easier to follow. It was a story about you ruining the hopes and dreams of a crippled kid, but
Who happened to be your brother?
I know.
So what then?
And your would-be girlfriend, but
Also your father.
also your father. Man, you just ruined everybody's
He's a
day.
terrible person.
It wasn't your father, it was your friend's father.
Whatever.
Yeah, Sid was your friend, was Mute's father.
Oh.
Yeah.
Oh.
Not Marsh's.
I guess to summarize, it would I guess that
Cross-edge is also a good example of the tipping point on the other side. It does have even though the battle system was complicated, it was actually kind of cool at first.
Yeah, no.
You're like, wow, this is actually kind of cool. I can do all these cool things. But later on, you're just like, man, this is taking forever.
Yeah. And then the brutality of not getting anything.
So usually, basically, what it does is, what we do with this panel is we actually have, we actually each trying to pick the one game we want to talk about, and unless the other two vehemently disagree, we get to talk about it.
So I guess your answer is we just sort of talk about what we feel like. And
It's a 2-3 vote, basically.
Okay.
The only thing is, I've become adamant now about talking about Dark Cloud because there was one guy in specific who argued with me on a forum for like a week and a half about why Dark Cloud was an amazing game, but he never showed up to our panels. He just saw a video.
Never once showed up to our panels.
And
It was very funny.
but that's not here or there, so we should get back to questions.
We dedicate this
So
panel.
yeah, we really can't.
Dedication is kind of
There's obviously really bad games. Like Superman 64 is obviously really bad, but you guys know it's really bad. You guys know ET's really bad. We don't want to cover those games. We want to cover games you did play and tell you why they're bad and why you should play other games.
The original premise for when we came up with this was a game that you could actually be playing and literally be fine with for the first couple hours, and you're like, this is a really fun game. And then you realize halfway through you're like, why am I playing this awful pile of shit? Oh my god!
It's like, why did I come up with this?
Then we found out that those are actually few and far between, so we broadened it a bit.
Yeah, Beyond and Beyond I think is a really good example of that.
Yeah, to be honest, at first you're like, this doesn't seem bad, and all of a sudden you're like, I could have played gold sometime.
Same with Lunar Dragon Song. I was like, this is pretty solid. I'm okay with this, and you get cursed and you're like, done.
Any other questions?
Well, would you consider games, any game that was good, that was fantastic, that you loved, but you could make a waffle and have a beyond wall things loading every single map, would that actually fit into your definition of
No. Games that are really good but have a little bit of flaws here and there aren't usually stuff that we talk about. Paladin specified the exception for this one for some people, but it wasn't the exception for me. I didn't think it was a very good game, but I know a lot of people do like it. So, all in all, if we try to make it that it's obviously really bad, and there's the least amount of redeeming qualities that you can say.
Okay.
That's kind of what we do, but not so atrocious that it's famous for being bad. Like we don't like Halo Reach or Halo or anything. Abro. Anyway, so and while we don't like it, we understand that some people do like it, and
that they're not
and they're not going to be
nothing really
bad
wrong
games.
with them. It's just not our favorite.
It's just not our thing. So if that explains a little bit more about criteria.
Yeah.
Any other questions? All right. That is it.
We can probably end the panel because I think we're actually at time.
That is about it. We have 5 minutes left to give whoever's next or whatever. So that is it for Inducing Video Games. We are doing 3 more panels this convention. So I think in this room, I don't remember.
No.
I don't know.
We're doing a panel called tomorrow. We're doing a panel called Shinji Kari Total Badass, which is about Ava, which is going to be a terrible panel, and you should not go to it at all because it's.
Unless we can talk to Tiffany Brandon.
Unless I can,
No.
No, she can't be there. She can't be there because she's going to be leaving. I'm so sad. Anyway, I'm a huge fan of Asuka, by the way, so that explains that. We're also doing a panel called "The Best Anime You Haven't Seen" tomorrow. It's a panel. Hopefully it's going to be you haven't seen these animes, but they're really good, and you should watch them, and we'll tell you why. Very similar to this one, except the other way around. And then on Sunday, we'll be doing a panel called Video Game Gems, which is very similar to the best anime you haven't seen, where there'll be really good games that hopefully you haven't played, and we'll be telling you to play, and we'll tell you why.
It'll be the opposite of the stuff we showed you today.
Yeah, well, that's awesome.
If you want to like enjoy your life instead of punishing yourself, you should play games we talk about in that panel.
Yeah.
But why? We can play the stuff you talked about here.
Or you can do that and have a great time knowing what to
It's
expect.
semi-masochistic, but you knock yourself out.
You might be able to make a drinking game around some of them. I don't know.
Dude, every time in Thousand Arms, when he says sword and he's making an innuendo to penis, you take a shot and you lose.
I think every time Samson does an attack,
Every time Samson does an attack,
You're just like, what?
fun drinking games. Because you guys are college students.
Unlike the crowd at Yomicon.
Unlike the crowd at Yomicon.